Natasha Kermani, good to see you as always. How's it going?
It's good. It's good to see you as well. And yeah, well, I'm just very excited to have the movie out in the world starting tonight.
All right. Yeah. This is happy. What are you supposed to say? Happy, not launch day,
Release
happy
day.
release day.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. So
Thank you.
how long have you been at this one? Like when was the initial, what was the initial inception of it?
So I think I was first sent the story in the context. So I had read the story when I read Joe's collection, 20th
Yep.
Century Ghosts, a long time ago, and had passed by the story and thought to myself, well, that's crazy. That
Yeah.
was kind of cool. But it was sent to me in the context of a film, I think in like summer of 2021, maybe. It was definitely
Okay.
pandemic. So that was when I first started sort of playing around with it and talking to the producers and sort of starting to figure out what a movie version might look like. And then we filmed in the summer of 2024, and it's
All
almost
right.
exactly a year since we wrapped that it's coming out. So
Whoa.
yeah,
Where did you guys film? Because the location was amazing. It was very atmospheric. There was a real
yeah,
stillness to it. It felt like, as they say, the location was its own character. But yeah, I mean, that was, it
100%.
felt,
Yeah,
yeah.
we filmed in Simi Valley, California, actually, which was
That was
great.
California? I totally thought that was
California.
overseas.
Yeah, no, it's California, which
Oh
was
my
great.
God.
And especially now, as California production has been really tough this last year. I mean, last few years, really. But
Yeah, of course.
it was really special to be able to be here and work with a LA crew. We have the best crews, we have the best resources, we have the best everything. So that was really special for us to be able to sort of tap into that and the amazing cast, like just having these characters able to come in and these great actors be able to come in and knock out these roles in a day or two was just really special for us. And then of course being able to go and sleep in your own bed at night is always healthy.
Yeah, that always feels nice for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. So that was a real
Oh,
treat. Yeah, we the film is set in California. It's always been set in California, so we ended up shooting here.
very, very nice. And the actors were all really fantastic, and they had great chemistry together. And you had built a real world, and they all felt very much on the same page. Because I feel like tonally, you can be trying to make one movie, but if one actor is not in that tonal world or that tonal headspace, it can just throw it. And your actors all entirely felt on the same page. So I'm curious, what was your approach to casting, and then getting them all into that,
Yeah.
tonal headspace?
Yeah, yeah. Interestingly, when I first started thinking about Mina, I immediately thought of Jocelyn, who I knew socially. And so that was always for me a very exciting idea to see Jocelyn Donahue in this role. So we really hadn't seen her in anything like that. She's done like all different sorts of period, but never quite this world in specific. And then it turns out she's a huge Dracula fan. So
Oh, nice.
she's a Drac stan. So that was really
She's a
fun.
what?
A Drac stan. I call her a Drac stan.
Is that a name for like Dracula fans?
Yeah, exactly. She just
Okay,
loves
cool.
the book, loves the world. But we really, we started with Titus. So we found our Van Helsing and then sort of built the family around him, especially because there is needs to be this sort of waterfall from Abraham in the story. So we knew we wanted to start with our Abraham and then sort of build the brothers around them, around
Yeah.
him. So yeah, and luckily Titus was down to try it out, and then I worked with casting directors to find the boys, and we got so lucky. I mean, I just absolutely can't imagine this film without the two guys. So
Yeah.
yeah, the family came together really well, and then. For the other roles, I reached out to actors who I knew and just loved. Aurora Perrineau, I just reached out to and said, "Hey, do you want to come do this?" And she was down as well. And so yeah, it was a very sort of organic process.
Oh, that's great. Well, common piece of filmmaking advice: don't work with children, don't work with horses, and you did both.
We did all of it.
You did all of it. How technically was there a lot of difficulty as far as any of that is concerned, or is it just kind of overblown in terms of complication?
I think because we're a small movie, you really try to protect those days, and you try
Yeah.
to protect those moments. And so that has to be very much identified at the beginning when you're sort of putting together your schedule and your shot list. So I work with a really magnificent AD named Jessie Rowland, who is very aware of all of these moving parts. And so she really did a great job, I think, of protecting those sections, right? Okay, so we have live
Sure.
animals here, so we're gonna, put a little more time with this and a little more crew and a little more protection around, a little more padding around that. So, as a filmmaker, I think you really have to put on your practicality hat and,
Sure.
just be real that this is going to take a little bit longer with the horse. I will also say two things. One is, again, this is another reason to shoot in LA. Is we have great teams. We worked with a great stunt coordinator, Dalton Simmons, who lives in Simi Valley on a ranch with his own horses. His wife is a horse wrangler, so it's tapping into this incredible wealth of experience that LA crews have and LA teams have, and that just makes everything so much smoother, right? Like they know what they're doing. They're not learning for the first time, which sometimes when you go to places that are new to film production, right? Like they're kind of figuring it out with you as you go, and that can really disrupt a shoot. And then the last part of it is just that our cast was so experienced. Titus, of course, had done Deadwood and a bazillion seasons of Bosch, and was just very comfortable with anything really that we threw at them.
Nice.
Brady was super comfortable with the horse. So it's just. It's everybody feeling comfortable, having the experience to know that they will be safe and taken care of under the right circumstances. And then it's not a big deal. It's super fun. You get to work with
Nice.
horses and old cars and, all that good stuff. So
That's cool. Yeah. So shoot in LA. It's I feel like LA is back again in terms of a shooting location.
I hope so. I really do
Yeah.
hope so. Yeah, stay in LA.
Yeah, for sure. So how did you approach bringing this story into this swaths of pre-existing lore about Dracula? Did you attempt to make it fit into any other pre-existing worlds? Obviously, it's based on Joe Hill's story, so there was, I'm sure, some adherence to whatever world he had built. But how did you approach placing this story into the Dracula lore in general?
Yeah, what I really liked about Joe's story is it didn't change anything from Dracula. It kept everything intact, and I can be a little bit of a purist sometimes, I think, with adaptations. I don't really like when things go back and retcon. I think a lot of us probably feel that way, fans of material. So I liked that he wasn't changing anything. What he was changing was the perspective on the story, and I think that's very exciting. So I very much just tried to stay loyal to that way in, which was we are going to not change anything that Bram Stoker wrote, but we're going to look at the story from a slightly different angle or from a slightly different lens. And so I think with that, my process was really just going back through the book, and bookmarking pages and looking at these scenes specifically with Van Helsing through this lens that Joe had sort of presented with the short story. So really it was almost more like, how do we fit into Stoker's vision and his novel, but play with the form a little bit, right? Play with the perspective a little bit, and not actually change the world. Obviously, our world is very different because we have moved away from London, right? Like we've gone as far away from Western Europe as possible. Which is, to me, California, is kind of sun-soaked California environment. So we changed the setting, right? Which it's the year is different, right? We're in 1915. It's not 1897. How is 1915 different from 1897? So it's all very grounded, right? Like it's all very grounded in the original material and then the reality of the time and place that we're in, but very much not trying to fit into any existing interpretation. It's not Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula. It's not the Bela Lugosi Dracula, et cetera, et cetera. It's really just trying to look at it as a story of human people and the family drama and the relationships between those people as presented by Stoker's original novella. I will say the one exception is we do have one scene in black and white, which is our little love letter to, obviously, the original Dracula film. But yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
No. So it wasn't really about building a new world. It was about looking at Stoker's world through a different lens.
And what was the collaboration with Joe Hill like? How involved was he in the writing process and the producing process?
Joe is just a joy. He's so lovely for a guy who writes like this incredibly dismal, dark, depths of the human heart type of stuff. He is just really a joyful guy to work with and to be around. And so it was just a really I keep saying this, but it was just a joyful experience. He was very enthusiastic about the first draft that I presented. Mm-hmm. And I think he was encouraged that that we were aligned tonally and narratively, that I wasn't changing anything fundamentally about the story, but rather expanding it and then bringing back in elements from the original Dracula, which I think he liked very much. He's really just been super supportive, I would say, and that goes a long way, right, when you're adapting something. And I think to hear his perspective and the stuff that like really works for him was also very interesting, because obviously he's coming from a perspective, I'm coming from my perspective. We're both working on this project together, and it was just really fun to hear his. What he was excited by, by this expansion of the story was really valuable.
Yeah, well, that's really, really awesome. And I'd love to talk about the technicalities of the movie, because the way it was shot, the way it was lit, the way the camera moved felt very, very deliberate in just a wonderful way. It felt very handcrafted, and there was like a lot of directorial oversight without it feeling over-controlled. So I'm curious, what was your approach to the look of the movie, the feel of the movie, the approach to camera work?
Yeah. This was a really fun one to do. You have so many elements. You're pulling from so many different palettes. You have the time period. You have obviously the material. You have the environment that we're in, just the reality of this California sunshine wrapping everything, and then this sort of dark house that we created. This dark interior, this sort of claustrophobic interior. And then, of course, you have these really striking figures of the characters themselves, right, who sort of take on this mythological quality, all while trying to make it feel intimate and grounded. So sort of balancing all of those things was really fun, and just felt very, very rich for Julia and I, my DP Julia Swain. So we started very early just identifying the tools that we wanted to use. So sort of we knew that we wanted to shoot spherical, and we wanted to shoot this 4:3 aspect ratio, which was not only just a callback to the time, right? So 1915 medium formats really coming in. You're starting to see more of that in popular culture. But we loved the idea of the square sort of giving us insight into each individual, and then framing them specifically within the house. So we knew that we would have this kind of square farmhouse. And we liked the idea of, instead of going into this widescreen world, we're actually truncating it. We're putting it into this square frame. So we committed to the aspect ratio pretty early. And luckily everybody was down to keep it, which is great. And the other big part of it, obviously informed by production design and all this, that, and the other thing, was we work with a colorist named Alastair Arnold at Photochem. And we did some tests and basically identified a color palette that to us felt a part of the American Western tradition, but with a little bit extra strangeness to it. So instead of just this washed out Western feel, very dry feel, we kind of, Alastair found these emerald greens and these sort of strange colors that could sort of be inserted, this very bright teal color, these sort of pops of color that felt very unexpected and strange. And I think in combination with this gritty, grounded, real location that we were in, really lends the film into something that's somewhere between a Western and a fairy tale, which was a really fun and unexpected place to be. So it was a lot of discovery with that we had a lot of fun with, and I think everybody was just willing to try. Let's try something. Let's try something new and different. And I think that's a big part of why the film kind of has this interesting look and feel to it. It's kind of hard to put your finger on. You know, you're not really
Yeah.
sure what the look is.
Yeah, because I was almost convinced that you shot mostly with natural light, but it also had a very intentional,
the movie
very
is very
different
lit.
look to it. Yeah. I feel like
I'll tell her
really
you said that though, because that's a good thing to hear.
Yeah, it felt very natural, but also it felt like very much its own thing in terms of its look and feel. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And what was the testing process? Because I feel like people make these beautiful looking movies, but don't talk about the testing process. Or not everybody does test. Sometimes it's like, all right, I trust the DP. They're going to, get it done day one. But how many times were you trying out different lighting schemes, lenses? What was that iterative process like until you nailed what you wanted?
Definitely. Julia and I prep quite a bit. This is a big part of our process. So we actually don't storyboard, but we do very expansive shot lists. Excuse me. And so we're already sort of crafting the montage and flow of the scenes. But in terms of camera tests, we absolutely do tests. We usually start just with lenses. So our process was, Jocelyn was kind enough to come out for a day, and we put her in some, old-timey clothes and had her sort of walking around and being dramatic. And we just tried a bunch of different lenses, all vintage lenses. We knew we kind of wanted that softness. And essentially string together a test. It's like a 10-minute test of seeing her face, right? Seeing your actress's face with some soft light, maybe some daylight. You get an interior look, an exterior look, and then we slap the LUT on, right? So our lookup table, right? Like the look of the film onto those tests, and you can start to approximate something pretty close, and then you can kind of start to see what you like, but also what you don't like, right? So as a filmmaker, you can see, wait, I actually don't like that we're getting distortion on the top and bottom of the frame. I actually want a cleaner image. And so until you see those things, it's very difficult as a filmmaker to say, like we have to see it, we have to feel it, we have to see it with the actress's face. And so once we complete that, then we can continue to test and sort of make decisions from there. But it all kind of starts from those early tests.
And your DP has done all of your features up until this point, right?
Pretty much. She did not shoot Imitation Girl. I worked with a great DP, Travis Tips, on Imitation Girl, but yes, everything since Imitation Girl.
Very, very cool. So I was talking to our mutual friend Peter Azen. He mentioned there was some lunatic driving around the desert blasting punk rock music. Do you know anything about that?
A fiend, a desert fiend. Yeah. No, yeah. Pete was very much a part of. I mean, this was a crazy shoot. It really was. It was just a bunch of crazy people out in the dust and the dirt, driving a van, playing punk music in the middle of the desert.
Nice.
But no, it was a good vibe.
Yeah, I heard that's. I heard a tip from Eli Roth that he learned from Quentin Tarantino is between setups, blast hard rock music, like rock out, because that gets everybody moving a little faster. That keeps the energy of the set up. Otherwise, it just dies in between takes.
Well, this was funny. Pete was actually shuttling. So our base camp was at the bottom. The house is on a hill, which is part of what I fell in love with, right? Like it's this tiny little isolated space on this like incredible expanse, 360 view. There's just nothing there. But what that meant was we had to hide our base camp at the bottom of the at the bottom of the hill, and it was this very steep hill that, of course, nobody wanted to walk up and down, right? So Pete was just in this dusty, passenger van shuttling people back and forth from base camp. So I think people would have it was like a little roller coaster, going up the hill with Warthog playing or something.
Nice. Oh, that's fun. That's a lot of fun.
But yeah, so that's why Pete was the madman.
Yeah. How did you find that location, by the way? It was fantastic.
I think our producer Tim Wu found it. It's a popular shooting location. It's called Big Sky Movie Ranch. Big Sky Movie Ranch. That house was built for Annabelle.
Oh wow! It was built for Annabelle.
I think so. Yeah, it was built for Annabelle Creation. So it's not a real house. It actually doesn't have a second floor. The second floor is a completely different location in Monrovia, California. So our production design team was just incredible to merge two completely different houses into a single house. So that's an illusion. It's not a real house. Yeah, it has no plumbing, it has nothing. It's just a set.
Yeah, I figured because some of those shots are just really good in the houses. There's no way that that's just a freestanding house unless she was building sets.
Yeah. No, it's very much built to. It's built to sort of look great on camera, and but the Annabelle version I think was very stripped down. It's really just a farmhouse, so we really brought a lot of like the darkness. It was all white inside, so we really wanted it to be shadowy, right? Like when you're inside, it's this very sort of claustrophobic, dark green, shadowy space.
Nice. And this is your fourth feature?
This is my third feature. Unless, VHS is not really, I mean, it is a part of a feature.
Right. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Cool. And, so now that you have a very formidable body of work, and we've talked for all three of your movies, which is pretty awesome, how does this entry fit into the context of your overall body of work as a director? Are there any sort of thematic through lines, or is it all subconscious? Is there no like real intentionality in making stuff, consistently fit together? How do you think about that?
Oh man, I mean, I don't think any creator has the luxury of curating their body of work. I think you kind of gotta go with what's going, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not entirely true. Of course, we pass and we decide what it is that we're going to engage with. I loved being able to build this unique world in 1915. That was really exciting to me. I think also this was, my work has been very female-centric up till this point, and I was very excited by the idea of exploring something that was a little more patriarchal, that focused in on a young man and boys and sort of their relationship to the world and the world around them and the stories that they tell themselves, about the world. That was really interesting and exciting and different for me. And that, of course, comes from Joe's story. I don't know if it's something that I would have necessarily written just, blank page by myself. So that was great. The opportunity to work with Joe was really exciting for me. I love collaborating with authors. And Joe was just wonderful to work with and so creative. And the Dracula world, I mean, how can you say no to that? The gothic drama and that ability to sort of paint with these broad, big, bold, expressionistic strokes was very exciting. But I do think it fits still into this general body of work, which is always sort of, there's an intimacy, but there's also these big pillars of question. I think that is always interesting. I don't know that I'm interested in doing work that has answers. It's a little bit more interesting to me to sort of work on stuff that is asking questions.
That's interesting.
So I'd say in those broad strokes, it does fit into the larger body of work.
Yeah, I always find that interesting if a movie is not trying to just hammer at specific points, like right on the nose, like this is how you should feel about this, but instead just offers things to ponder to the audience. I think it's a way more integrative method of filmmaking. It's less pandering, and it engages the audience to think and feel on their own terms, which I think
because I don't think our lives are simplistic, right? Like our lives are complicated. Like there's no straight villains or straight heroes in our lives. So why should our
well, there is one I can think of.
Yeah, well, true. Yeah, right. But even the villains, they're all coming from a place of humanity. There's a difference between compassion and approval, I guess. I think that the understanding and acceptance that, as adults, we're all sort of walking around with these open wounds, and some people are able to heal them in a healthier way, and other people are not. And a lot of times that's where a lot of this cruelty is coming from. I think is the truth, right? So when you go 100%. And you consume content that tells you, it's like Abraham saying, these are the monsters, these are the heroes, it rings untrue. It doesn't feel completely true to us because that's not our lived and learned experience, which is that people are actually quite complicated, So I don't know. I don't know that simplicity is necessarily going to feel honest.
Yeah, it's a really good point. My therapist always reminds me to live in complexity. Like nothing's binary.
Yeah.
Nothing is black and white. Like you just have to, and that's part of adulthood is
Yes.
being able to hold contradictory elements of yourself and the world and people. And
That's right.
And I think expanding that into cinema makes it a lot more of an immersive and interesting experience, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Or more
Yeah.
truthful in some way.
Yeah. So what are you working on next if you're at liberty to discuss it?
So I am in post on a movie called The Dreadful, which is actually another period movie, another time period movie. So we are in editorial right now, and hopefully it will be coming out early next year, something like that.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah, that was a fun one. We went and we shot in the UK. So we were in this Abraham's Boys was very hot and dusty, and then we went and did a movie in the cold rain and mud. So
Oh, wow. So
But yeah.
did you end up shooting these essentially back to back or within 6 months of each other?
yeah, we did. It was kind of crazy. We
awesome.
yeah, we wrapped Abe in July, and then I think we locked editorial in like September, October, and then we went straight to England from there.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh,
Yeah, it was
really,
pretty
really
crazy.
Cool. Like it's good to have a 1-2 punch like that.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a wild ride. But that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, you as a filmmaker, you don't really have the luxury of like, well, get back to me in 8 months. It's like, no, this is the actress's availability and we're going. So
Yeah.
you hitch onto that train and you try to hold on.
Yeah. Well, for those aspiring or struggling filmmakers out there, I mean, you having wrapped 4 movies at this point, what are some things to keep in mind as you're approaching this from a career perspective?
I mean, I'm an aspiring, struggling filmmaker. That's me. You're talking to me. Yeah, I mean, look, I think you have to, it's very difficult to keep a balanced mental health in this business.
Sure.
We're also, this industry is going through a really hard time right now. So I think it's also important to acknowledge as creators that this is an especially difficult time to be trying to create. And unfortunately, the medium that we've chosen is one that needs a lot of fucking money. And it's not, you can't just get a canvas and paint by yourself in a room. It is a much more complicated beast with a lot more moving parts. So I think kindness and grace towards yourself is really important, especially in this moment, something I'm working on. I think we're all working on it. But I think just knowing that this is very difficult. It's very difficult. It's very difficult to make all of these things work and feel also like you are creatively where you want to be. This is a very difficult balancing act. So I think, just extending the grace that maybe you show others to yourself as well.
Well, I think those are huge words and probably a really good place to end on. So, Natasha, huge congratulations. Really love the movie.
Thank
Super
you.
awesome. All you guys listening, it's in theaters now.
It is, yes. Theaters tonight, July 11th is tomorrow. It'll be out, and it's in quite a few theaters, as I understand. So, yeah, you can look it up. I think it's abrahamsboysmovie.com has a full listing of everything, all the theaters that it's available at. And it's a fun one to see in theaters, I will say, because it's got this really sort of unique look and feel to it. So
Yeah, very, very immersive. And it's on Shudder when?
that I don't think they've announced it yet. So it will be this fall. It will be on Shudder.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, huge congratulations. Big fan of your work. Really psyched to see what you do next. And always a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.